Okay, welcome back everyone. Today is October 11th and we're getting started in the live class a little bit late today, so we're just gonna get right into the practice and do about 35 minutes of movement, and then we'll have a nice 5 or so minute resting time today. We're gonna start with a tennis ball or alpha ball if you have one of those, and we'll start rolling out our feet and connecting into our breath. We'll just have an overall just kind of morning wake up, whole body experience today. The sun's coming out as we're hopping into the practice. That's nice. Let's just start seated. We'll start rolling out our feet, so 1 foot at a time. And I just like to think of touching on all the surface areas of the foot that you can get to touch the ball. So not only the sole of the foot, but you think of maybe the edges of the foot toward the top of the foot if possible. That means that, right, you have to rotate your thigh in possibly some interesting directions. So you may need to change your bum position on the chair in order to do that and no hurt hips or knees right away. So just be mindful of how the other parts of your leg are feeling as you come into this motion. If you haven't already spent a little time underneath the bottoms of your toes, so your toes kind of spread out over the ball and all the way down into the base of the heel as well. Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to shift to the other foot. You can do that, timing, just time it on your own. If there's one side that for whatever reason you want to spend a little more time with, feel free to do that. Or keep it more on the even side. And then while we're doing this, let's see if we can also just start to notice the eyes want to close down, or if it's more intriguing in this moment to keep the eyes open. Noticing any experience of how the breath is moving today, different parts of the torso that are gently moved with your breath. Notice if your nose breathing or mouth breathing. The various layers of sensation of touch, breath, that ball, getting some blood flow to these various parts of our bodies through touch. Let's take another 30 seconds, and you can stay on the same foot. You could go back to the first one. You can linger or stay a little more dynamically moving. This is feeling so good. I feel like I haven't done this in maybe a week or so. I haven't been rolling out the feet. It was nice. Get those toes warm. Okay. So if you're not already, let's start to sit back on your chair. So if you have a place you can rest your back, do that. If you have no back on your chair, you're just supporting your upright seated position a little bit more with your spine and core muscles. If you have a back of the chair, you might gently just press into that, sitting tall, releasing that ball. And let's take 3 slow, intentional breaths. Not a huge volume of air. Just think the amount of air that you feel like you actually need in this moment, which probably isn't a whole lot because we're at rest. Considering that sensation of expansion and emptying out as we pause for a moment. Tune into that motion. Air flowing, body expanding and releasing. Just that overall check-in of how you're arriving here to your practice. Body, emotions, energy level. You might bring in your word for the month if you have chosen to do that with us here in the month of October. Or you might just choose a word for today, to something to support you, something that feels nice to be reminded of today or this month. What is that for you? Good. And then let's feel all the way back down into those feet. And we'll lift the right leg out in front of you. And we'll just start to do our bit of our joint prep here. We'll move just a little bit faster today. So we go through the ankle, both directions. See that your lower leg is staying still. You might see your calf muscle moving, but there's not a rotation in your lower leg. And then just point the toes back toward your knee and point the toes forward. So we'll do the forward and back. Full range, forward and back. And then good, let's bend that knee. We're gonna lean forward so we can take a hold of underneath your right knee and then start to draw a circle with the lower leg. So right from the knee joint, think of that motion, lower leg drawing the circle, the toes and the ankles staying a little more relaxed, not drawing a circle. And then go the opposite direction. Nice flowing circular motion. And then good, let's quiet that down. We'll sit up a little taller, bring the hands to the base of the chair. And I want you to sit a little forward on your chair now. We're just going to think of drawing a bit of a circle with the thigh. So we're going to see if we can lift the foot and draw a circle with the thigh. And if the front of the hip starts to get a little tired right away, just for this warm up, I'm going to have you lean back a little bit. Like come off of your sitting bones just a tad. My hips are already a little tired today for whatever reason. So I'm leaning back, still getting some nice range of motion right inside the hip socket. If everything's feeling pretty good, you could sit a little taller. Yeah? Good. And then let's slide that leg out in front and give the knee just a little bit of a bounce. Just like shaking that leg up and down. You could bounce the heel up and down or keep the heel down and just give that leg a bit of a shake. In and out, both legs can start shaking a little bit, just get some vibration, circulation, letting loose a little bit more. Yeah, good. And then sit back. And let's just have a moment from that right hip down through the toes. Notice what you notice. Right to left. Holding that interest in sensation in this body today. Good. And then let's try this, of course, whole thing on the left side. So we'll start with our ankle. So you're sitting into the back of your chair. You have a back. And the thigh is supported on the base of the chair. And then we're just moving the toes, circle, circle, circle. Big full range, but just a little faster than we might normally go. Yeah. And then start with the toes going toward the knee and then all the way forward toward the floor. So back and forth. And let's add the wrist to this as well. So both hands, we go forward and back, just kind of mimicking the motion of your foot. Good. Great. And then we'll release that. Give those hands a little shake out as we shift the bum forward. We'll take underneath your left knee, and then we take that lower leg in our circle all the way around. And the opposite direction. Good. Good. And then let's let that release. We'll sit up, hands on the base of the chair just to support that upright seated position. And then let's see about the thigh circle. And it could be different side to side. So like in my body, my left side is always a little bit more, gets tired a little bit faster. So, I might just lean back a little bit so I can stay with the big range of motion. You can experiment yourself, can you go a little bit bigger? Think of more of like this warming up by leaning back. And then what is it like if you sit up? And most likely it gets like a little bit harder, a little more challenging right there for the front of the hip. Good. And then let's slide that leg out. Same. We give a bit of a bounce, a wiggle, shaky, shaky, shaky. Good. And then let's stay seated at the top of the chair here. So there's no support, no back support. So our core muscles and our spine muscles are having to support us a little bit more. And then we'll feel right to left, left to right, from the front of the hips all the way down into the soles of the feet. Notice that sensation, what feels maybe a little more alive, some circulation, some warmth. And come back to that motion of your breath and see if it's moving in your lower torso. And if not, you might have to release tension right in your core so that expansion can happen. And then the exhale, there's a slight contraction of your core muscles to help to move the diaphragm. So let's just be present with that for a few breaths. That sense of expansion, pressure going all the way around the lower torso. That exhale, there's a slight contraction of the core muscles, expelling the air out. One more breath like this. Good. Good. And then from here, let's bring the hands onto the knees and let's bring the legs out a little bit wider. And we'll start with our whole spine. So from the tailbone right up through the crown of the head, we'll take some extension. And then we'll let our spines bend and flex. Crown of the head and tailbone toward one another. Let's do this 3 more times. Option to start to take the hands away from the knees and have a little bit more of a squeeze into the middle back for that extended position. And then reaching the arms forward and down as you flex your spine, bend the spine. A few more times. Choose your arm position as you move your spine in these bigger ranges. Head all the way down to the tailbone. Good. One more time here. Feeling that effort, a little squeeze into the back to open the front body. And then we might squeeze into the front body a little bit to open, to stretch into your back. That's it. Good. And then let's sit up all the way tall. And we'll reach our right arm up and the left fingertips go down toward the floor. We can bring our knees in line with our hips for this. And we'll take a subtle side bend. So we're going to keep the arms more in this, really consider the arm that's lifted in more of a V shape rather than right up alongside the ears. We'll give our neck and the top of the shoulders a little bit of space. And then we'll reach right fingertips down, stretch into left side, back to center. And notice if the front of the ribs are poking out like quite a bit in front, and see if you can have less of that while we're doing this. So the low ribs stay knit down toward the hip bones, and we're coming into that sensation of side stretch. A little flowing motion side to side. And start to move your head in a couple different directions. So as you're side bending, you might turn the gaze down or maybe straight out to the side. We just try a couple different head shapes and notice if anything changes, the sensations change in the side waist as we're doing that. Maybe some sensations change in more challenging ways or more easeful ways for the shoulder if we change our head shape as well. Great. And then let's bring it all the way back to center. Nice job. Sitting tall and upright, we'll bring these arms all the way out into that V shape. Arms stay straight, and then we circle down. all the way out. So I want you to keep your arms as straight as possible, and then start to play with the rotation in your arm bones. So the arms go up, the palms face up. As the arms go back and down, the palms face backwards. Yeah, so feel that rotation in your shoulder joint as we take these arms in this circular pattern. Good. Go the opposite direction 3 times. So as the arms come forward, the palms face up. As the arms pull back, the palms face back. And make sure that rotation is happening all the way into the top of the shoulder, not just the lower arm. Yeah? Good. Yes. One more time. All the way around. Yeah. Very nice. Good. And then let's just take those shoulder blades in your circular pattern and keep it a little bit of a smaller motion so it feels more fluid and a little less clunky. So if we take it just a little smaller, might feel a little more fluidity, hopefully. A little less jerky, just flowing shoulder blades, circles, head of the arm bones, circles, shoulder blades, head of the arm bones going together. Good. And then let's just do a bounce of those shoulders up and down. And yeah, up and down, up and down, up and down. Let your torso, let your bum bounce. And then we're just going to start to go into a little bit more of a shake. Shimmy, 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 head, 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 head. So just trying to let loose a little bit. You can get your legs going. You can get your bum going. Side body, arms. Shake, 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 shake. I've been bringing a little bit more of this into my practice again. Like I didn't really feel like a lot of it in the summertime, like the high heat. I don't really feel like we need it, but like spring, winter, early spring, like this sort of just like wiggling, shimmying energy, vibrating, just big flush. And then we have a little pause. And just notice again. That layer of aliveness throughout the body, shoulders all the way down into the feet. Excellent. Okay, so let's take a few times to come up and down from the chair in our intentional way. So let's tune into the neutral spine position. So you're going to lean forward. And for a moment, I want you to let your back bend. So I'll show this from the side, right? So we know that like that cat-cow position where our back is rounded. And then do the opposite where you're kind of sticking your chest forward and your ribs poke forward. And then where do we find that sort of middle spot? We're not extended, we're not bent, but just somewhere right in between all the way back through the back of your neck. So just feel into that. Doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but just notice that you kind of sense that neutral position. We're just going to try to maintain that as we shift our body weight forward toward the toes and lift the bum. And then we bring our torso straight upright, right? So we don't bend the spine. We keep it nice and neutral, pushing down into the feet. We rise up to stand. So again, I'll show it from the side here. Same. We're going to try to go up and down from the chair in this neutral spine position. So we're going to bring our arms out to the sides and have a little squeeze of your elbows into the middle part of your back to engage that middle back core. We bend the knees. We keep hinging forward. We lower the bum down. We'll sit up and relax those arms down. Hinge forward, same arm position. We squeeze down into those feet, same spine position as we come all the way up. Those arms relax down. So try this a number of times. Make sure, so the shoulders, we're going to try not to have them up here, right? They're a little bit down, and that little squeeze into the back, that middle back here, but not so much that it extends your spine, right? Good. And then the neck position, that one's always interesting. Like, where is your neck in relationship to the rest of the spine? And then the effort becomes over time, maybe you have a little bit less of a hinge forward, and you can keep your torso a little bit more upright as you're coming up and down. The hinge forward is really helpful though, as we're getting that leg strength built up, right, to support that as we're getting the leg and the lower back strength built up. So let's try 3 more. Nice job. I love that you're moving at your own pace here. Try to be very intentional and controlling our body weight down and pushing our body weight away from the floor as we're standing up. Excellent. The next time that you're standing, let's stay standing and we'll take the legs wide. Good. And then let's start with a slow twist. So the arms go out to the sides. Yes. And we're going to twist to the right. So we'll take that left hand on your right shoulder and we'll sweep that right arm around your lower back and gaze down toward your heels. Slowly come back to center and we go to the other side. So feel free to lift off of your right heel as you're twisting. We come back to center. I like a little bit of soft knees here, so we sense that the legs, the pelvis, right, more parts of our body are turning together. Side to side like this. So we can go slow. You have a little bit more of a slippery surface. You might let your legs and your feet sort of slide side to side. You can really let loose and let the momentum of your arms and that twist of your rib cage take you side to side. Again, or you could take it a little slower and kind of be with more of that sensation of stretch side to side. So choose your flavor, a few more breaths. Present with rotation, twisting. Yeah, there we go. Good. Excellent. And then we'll come all the way back to center together. Yeah, and then we'll take a little bit of a bounce standing. So heels, let loose, no holding tension here, no holding tension here. Here we just bounce it out. Heels. See if you can stay with a quiet nose breath while you're doing this. Get your arms to move around your body like you're just clearing out space inside of you, making some room. And imagine you're just kind of clearing your field, getting sort of vibing up for the day, energizing for the day. Few more seconds. Good, and then pause. Let's bring one hand to the low belly, one hand to the base of the sternum. 2 quiet, slow breaths. Resting the tongue at the roof of the mouth. Great, and let's have the chair in front of us. And let's use the base of the chair if you're feeling comfortable with that these days. With the hands a little bit lower for your downward facing dog. You can also use the top of the chair, right? So you can try both and see how it feels for your shoulders as we come into hands on the chair, feet about hip bone distance apart, stepping those feet back as much as your spine and your shoulders can lengthen and stretch. Once you're in the shape, look down at your feet and start to bend your knees forward, keeping your heels down, and then straighten your legs, pushing your thighs straight back. Do that 2 more times. Bend your knees forward and pushing the thighs straight back. Another time like that. Knees forward and pushing back. There we go. We're going to grip into the chair. We're going to push our hands straight down into the chair, bringing your torso forward, lifting off of the heels for more of a plank position at the chair. Good. And then let's keep pushing down our hands into the base of the chair, stepping your right foot forward. And then see if we can hold everything just as it is and start to lower your left heel down. Doesn't have to touch the floor, but see if we can lower that down, and we'll most likely feel a pretty hefty stretch in the back of that leg. If the shoulders are way up toward the ears, see if you can draw those shoulder blades down the back and toward the spine a bit. One more moment in this shape. Nice job. And then great, let's look down at the left foot. We're going to step the left foot forward toward the chair and spin the heel over toward the right side. And push down into the feet, and we're going to lift the torso upright. Bring the hands to your rib cage and let your low ribs shift forward. And then I want you to do the opposite. Low ribs, pull down. There we go. And hinge forward a little bit. Feel strong in your back. Be able to squeeze into both feet. Check in that your neck can come in line with the rest of the spine. Release your arms to the sides, palms facing forward. And take 2 breaths into your lower torso. Sense that motion of expansion and contraction. A little squeeze of the core muscles on the exhale. Soft belly, we breathe in. And exhale. Here we go. Good. Hands onto the base of the chair. We'll spin off of our left heel. So left heel points straight back. Push strongly down into your hands to step that right foot back. And then we come into our down dog at the chair. Lighter hands on the base of the chair. So a little bit more of your body weight into your feet and into that stretch of your legs. And 2 breaths in this shape. Knees can be a little soft. Those armpits can be lifting up toward the ears a little bit here. Just make sure you don't feel any funky in your shoulder joint. Good. We'll try the same thing on the other side. So let's shift forward to the plank at the chair, lifting off of the heels. Pause here for a moment. Yes, feel steady in your arms and your core before you step your left foot forward. When you're ready, we step the left foot forward. Right heel lowers to the ground. Yes. Doesn't have to touch, but we're just staying with that long back of the right leg. From the thigh, reaching out through the heel. Steady through the core, steady rhythm in the breath. And then great, from this shape, we're going to look down at the right foot. We'll step the right foot forward and shift that heel over to the right side, to the left side. And then we'll rise up, torso. So we're bending into that left knee. And for a moment, same thing. We'll let the arc, that big back bend, come into the shape. And then I want you to try the opposite motion, or towards the opposite motion in your spine. So we're out of a back bend. And then we're going to hinge the torso a little bit forward. Take the chin toward the chest and then pull the ears up toward the sky. So we almost create a little bit of a double chin. Rest the tongue at the roof of the mouth, and 2 of our core breaths where we expand and that subtle core contraction as we exhale. Feel the effort from the middle part of you out into your feet. Again, we inhale. And there we go. Good. Exhale. Fabulous. Hands go to the base of the chair. We spin off of the right heel. Nice job. Steady into your hands and your core first. Step back to your plank and then into the down dog. From this position, we're going to come onto hands and knees on the floor. So we can take the knees down to the floor together. You can step 1 foot forward and then bring one knee down and the other knee down. We're on hands and knees here. And then let's curl the toes under and shift the bum back towards your heels for a bit of a toe stretch. And then we're going to shift the body weight forward and bring the shoulders forward of your wrists. Another time like this time let's come onto the tops of the feet and gently press the weight of the body backwards towards your heels. And then great, we shift forward, asking those shoulders to come forward of the wrists. Perfect. Let's send the feet over to one side and the hands over to the other side. And we're going to come down onto the bum and shift both feet forward. And then just come toward the center of your surface so your head's going to be supported however you want it to be supported. You can have the chair in front of you. We'll have the option to rest our legs over the chair in a moment. If you know you don't like the legs up the chair position, you can just bring your chair away from you. And let's have our resistance band. We'll do a couple things on the floor before we take our rest. This goes so fast when we don't have our whole time, but it's kind of nice, I think, to have a little bit of a shorter morning wake up, like get up and go practice. I think it'll be a nice one to come back to in the library, you know? Okay, so let's roll down onto the back. As you do that, let's hug the knees into the chest and just have this check-in with your neck position as you're coming down on the floor. If you have a big, like the front of your throat is really open without some head support, I'm going to invite you to bring in the head support so the front of the throat isn't so like open to the ceiling. If that's not an issue for you, don't worry about bringing any support in. Just a little rock side to side, the lower back. And then let's bring the feet down to the ground. And we're going to take a couple slow bridging motions up and down the spine. So let's have the ankles slightly forward of the knees. This is going to ask a little bit more of the hamstrings and the bum muscles to work. So if you get a cramp, that's common. Just back off of it and come back into it when you can. So arms are down, shoulder blades relaxing to the ground. Start to press your lower back into the floor. And then push down into the feet. And we rise up. Segment of our spine at a time, right to the top of those shoulders. Pause for a breath in and out at the top of your bridge. And then let's take slow, steady, one segment at a time. We roll it down. And do that one more time. Slow, steady bridge. Pressing through the lower back first, pushing down into the feet to lift the tailbone. Lower back, middle back. Some of the upper back, we pause. And then all the way back down. Good. As you come down, bum to the floor. Let's step the feet wide out to the edges of the mat. Bring your arms out into your T shape. And then we'll take the legs and we'll windshield wiper the thighs side to side. Easy flowing hip motion, thigh motion, side to side. Excellent. And then let's take that resistance band and we're going to bring it around the right foot. So we'll hug the right knee into the chest. We'll take that band around the forefoot. So think underneath the ball mound of the foot and some of the webbing of the toes is in the band. And then let's pull back on that band until we feel a bit of a stretch through the back of your leg. So the leg is straight up to the sky. That left knee is bent. And then we're going to start to lower that leg toward the floor. The band is supporting the weight of the leg going down. And then we'll lift the leg back up until you feel that sensation of stretch through the back of the leg. And keep the leg straight. And then good. Let's start to let the leg open out to the right side. Back to center and over to the left side. So right to left one more time. Going slow so we can feel into each kind of line of stretch. The leg opens out to the right without twisting to the right. So just the leg, just that right leg opening out to the right. Back to center and over to the left. Fabulous. Let's bring it back to center. Let's shift that left foot into the band. And we're going to take the forefoot, some of the webbing of the toes into the band. Reach up your hands right toward your foot and then pull down. Pause in that shape for a few seconds. Right knee is bent. And have your lower back touching the ground if you like, or your pelvis more in a neutral position. Just hold steady through the pelvis as we do the motions with your legs here. Left leg going toward the floor. And then we pull back on that band to bring the leg towards us, straight leg. Pause in that stretch. Few breaths. And then let's start that left to right. We open that left leg out to the left side. And over to the right side. And you can feel complete there side to side. We'll bring that leg center. We'll bend the knee, release the band from the foot. Let's straighten the legs down to the floor. Last time, we'll give the legs, the knees a bounce, a shake, a shimmy, in and out, in and out. You can get your arms up and give those a bit of a wiggle too. And then let's decide how we'll rest, what shape we're going to rest into. Any last subtle stretches or movements that would feel good in your body before we find our final shape today. The chair, you decide, or wall space or couch space, to lift your legs up and let the lower legs rest over the chair, or scoot your bum over to the wall and bring your legs up the wall. You can experiment with a couple different shapes, right? Always like, where is it today where your body weight can settle? And let's do a little bit of breathing together to root into this time of integration and restfulness. Let's be with the sound, or we might say the no sound, the lack of sound in relationship to our breath. to be intrigued about this process of staying relaxed inside of yourself, but not hearing your breath. That quiet of a breath, that soft and gentle of a breath. And stay with this for about a minute. The tongue mudra at the top of the mouth can be helpful here. Jaw relaxed, helping to keep the jaw relaxed. Notice if there's a natural pause, the bottom of the bottom of the exhalation. It doesn't have to be very long, just a subtle mental pause, bottom of the exhalation before the inhale comes. You might layer in your awareness of the word, some type of energy that you might visualize or embody as you rest here, filling up with that which feels nurturing to be present with. And let's feel into the shape that your body is in and be so gentle and mindful. But I'm going to invite you to shift into one other restful shape and settle right back into stillness. New shape and into stillness. Start to shift upright to a seated position, whether on the floor or seated in your chair once again to close our time today. As you come up to your seat, to a few small neck, head circles. Aligning felt experience of ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips, the front and the back of the ribs, those sort of even. So the front ribs aren't so far forward that the back ribs zip down, right? The front of the ribs not so far down that the back ribs are lifted up, but the whole circumference of the rib cage sort of at an even plane. And a quiet breath in and out together to close the practice. Quiet breath in and back out. So much. I'm excited to have, not super short, but something a little shorter than an hour. Like, this is, like, I want to do this practice a couple times a morning, just like kind of touching on those parts of the body. So I'll make sure to keep this one in the library. I think this is a nice one that you could come back to, even if you just did the first 20 minutes, then the other 20 minutes at another time. It could be a really nice one. Thanks for sticking in there with some technical things today for those of you who are live, and hope you enjoy the recording. For those of you who weren't here today, thank you so much. Thank you. See you next time.